Welcome to another high value conversation. In this conversation, I'm going to be talking to Mel Cordier, branding, social media, and I think this is a perfect time starting off the year 2023 and helping people really get their branding, marketing, social media strategy going. And I'm just excited to have him here. Hey, Mel, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so excited to have you here. This is the perfect time to kind of dive into this topic, especially as the year's getting started and people are really starting to see the power of some of the new things that are happening on social media. So having you here, I mean, just thank you for taking the time to
Yep.
really dive into such a topic that touches all of us. So we've done some real estate calls, we've done some insurance, done some stocks, like these things that you specialize in,
Yep.
awareness to for financial education. But man, social media, branding, marketing, personal branding, it touches all of us. So I'm excited to have you here to dive into this topic. How's your day going?
My day is going phenomenal. I actually just I had a class, and then obviously got some work done. I did have an impromptu meeting with the VP of the school and everything like that. So, yeah, just looking to knock out the rest of my tasks here on campus, and then of course, obviously, the entrepreneur life that
Right.
starts once I leave campus.
Hey man, I feel you. So let's do this. I love to start off right hot and heavy. Every time I do one of these calls, I like to make sure anyone who's coming back to watch the replay or anyone who's here just for a second right now and has to go do something else on like their lunch break has like something that's hot. Right? So how does a person really become like an influencer and really monetize social media in 2023?
Hang on, I'm adjusting my camera real quick. So, in a nutshell, how you become an influencer. Influencer is a loose word for, it's almost like a soft celebrity. So it's almost like asking yourself, how do you become a celebrity? So the way you do it best effectively is for someone to trust you and establish you and identify you as an influencer, you have to have a certain proven track record that you can inspire people to push them in a certain direction to buy something or go with a specific idea or a thought or something like that. So once you're proven, and then obviously you have to have the following. So we're looking at micro influencers start around 7, 8,000, 9,000 followers and things like that. So when people actually trust your opinion on things is when you would consider yourself an influencer. Then you have to continue to add value to your brand by further marketing your personal brand. Some people like to be an influencer of the restaurant industry, of clothing, as far as like fast fashion. Some people like to be bar hoppers and stuff like that. So just continue to build on that reputation and solidifying exactly who you are and being confident of that and getting people to trust your brand.
Okay, so that trust is very important and the track record is important. So people who think it's just hop on and they're just going viral and they have
Oh
all
no,
oh no.
no, it doesn't work like that. It's a process. It's a process to get your brand to the masses. Whether it's a personal brand, whether you're pushing product, whether you're pushing a service, it's a process.
Right, right. You can't just can't you could be a one hit wonder, but what can you do with that? Because you don't know how to continue to go viral, continue to be able to that.
Exactly. Exactly. Basically, figuring out whatever it is that your formula is as far as your brand identity, as far as your personal marketing, and
Yeah,
just continue to replicate that.
yeah. Everyone, thank you for being here. I see y'all waving and stuff. Why don't you let us know where you're watching from? I think I have one person I know is definitely from Hawaii. So in the comments, just kind of let us know where you're at around the watch us from around the country. All right. The next question I want to ask you, because I think you did really great on describing what it takes to really be an influencer. What is the biggest trend right now in marketing branding going kind of unnoticed by most people?
Well, when it comes to personal branding, well, really branding in its totality, the biggest trends right now obviously would be the reels. So everything is video based. So even if it's a photo, even if you're trying to communicate a message, a lot of people are doing it based on the platform of integrating music into it. Flashing over from the message to a photo. A lot of people like to throw music on top of a still photo just to communicate that message. So the way everything is calculated right now, integrating music into the consumer experience is what's pushing social right now.
Okay. So reels, so making it kind of shorter and the sound bites, and then also adding the music kind of with. So the reels is really the big trend. You're starting to see like the reels on social on Instagram and kind of
Correct.
like on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. And really long form as well. Obviously, Instagram calls every piece of video content now part of the reel. It used to be IGTV, they consolidated that. But video content on a photo-based platform, believe it or not, is what's permeating to the top. So a lot of people, they like to do voiceovers. Some people like to do the mashups, where they'll take like a Rihanna song and mash it up with maybe Bone Thugs or something like that. Those are the things that are helping propel your analytics. Now, what are you going to do with that attention once you got it is the real question.
I hear you. One thing I've been noticing is kind of like the double shot of using something someone else is saying and then
Yep.
just acting to it. I see some things that are full of that, like a person like over here talking about stocks or something, and a person just being like, mm.
Yeah, those side by
Yeah,
sides.
but it's like 10, 15 seconds of just somebody, or like a Jordan Peterson or someone saying something like, that is already catchy, and then having
Yep.
a picture just split screen, like reacting to it, and then turn it into a piece of content. I was a young man earlier. It looks like Isaiah, he's here right now. We were having a conversation because I like to kind of dive into the mind of the youth, and he was showing me TikTok and this one guy, like you just said, once you have the attention, what are you going to do with it? He was giving me great examples of how there were people on TikTok getting 56 million views on a video of just like brushing their waves and showing how they get waves. But you click their website, they didn't have a website. And he was like, man, they could have went to Alibaba, bought these brushes, because in the comments, the people were like, what gel are you using? What brush are you using? And he was like, you can go over to Alibaba, get the brush for like $3, come back and sell it for $27, because the same brush was for sale on Amazon for like 27 bucks. He was like, this person could be capitalizing off the attention that they're getting from their TikTok. But like you said, not knowing what to do with the attention once they got it, they weren't able to capitalize on it. But he could see the connections. And it was great for me because, we've seen all these brands, like, not brands, but these social media companies, we've seen them come from scratch.
Yep.
Like we lived in the world where there was no social media. Then when we were in college, social media came out. And then even in 08, 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 10 years ago, they were all out, but they weren't really doing big things yet. They didn't have the ad monetization. YouTube was really just like, I remember my little brother and sister making YouTube videos like for fun at home, like it was like home movies. It wasn't how it
Correct.
is like being an influencer and stuff. So it was cool to hear him speak from a perspective of how this stuff is. So I guess it'd be the same as like color TV for us, like color TV, cars, right? Like these things already existed. So we had no concept of like how the world was before they existed, right? So
That's exactly correct.
social media, it's so organic, it's so easy. We're studying each one as they come out to try and figure out how to use it as a marketing platform. When they're being so organic, they're getting the attention that we pay for in ads, but don't know how to convert it because they're just using it as fun kids.
Correct. And really and truly, but to your point, a component of that is what helps make things popular is the raw, doing it for the love, doing it just for the appreciation, doing it something because it's new and cool and innovative. That's what helps propel these new apps and these new ideas. And even to go on a micro side, these new trends, a lot of these new trends that we know and love that are on social, a lot of that kind of stuff starts because of the pure love and fun for it. And then obviously when the stuff sticks and, everyone starts to see the success that another person is having from, said app or from certain trend is when everybody starts to rush through the door and take advantage of that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
And the funny part is, most of the time, the new I'm actually impressed with how Instagram and Facebook, I think because they're together, the that's what's helped them survive together.
Yeah.
Because I think my kids, they kind of talk to each other and text on Snapchat. Like they don't really use text messages. Sometimes they use text messages, but most of the time their age group, they communicate on Snapchat and have Snapchat groups, even for their basketball teams and stuff, you know?
Correct.
Most platforms, once we all come into it, right? Like once the businesses and the advertisements and these kind of brand messages. I remember Facebook was the young people thing.
Correct.
Then
Correct.
I get their mom and dad. Then everyone left, went to Instagram, you know, and then now they have Snapchat and they have TikTok. You know, it's kind of, I think TikTok is right at like an area where here we come into it to try and use it for business and attention and stuff. And now we need to start paying attention to maybe what the next one's going to be, because maybe unless it, in it, well, I guess it's run by China, so it's not like my American startup. So I think it'll have a good sustainability versus the models that social media stuff that kind of came and faded away. Because there's been a lot of them. I just don't think everyone knows about them. So let me, oh, go ahead. What are you about to say?
No, I was about to say, I mean, look, you're absolutely right. Especially considering a lot of these social media apps now are pretty much using the same format, which again is, you know, video based, incorporating video, incorporating music, incorporating voiceovers and stuff. So it's about who's willing to cater towards the trend at that moment in time. Right. Is going to who's going to survive for the next 3 to 5, and then the next 3 to 5 after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive to say that Facebook's been around like since '08, and that, you know, Instagram, I think my first picture on there was like 2010. I remember someone telling me about it, like, like being like, it's time for you to get Instagram, you know? And I can go back, I think like my third picture all the way down to my profile, when my first house flip with my kids in the house with me, you know, they're like 5 and 3. You know, it's cool to see like how long these things have kind of lasted and evolved, and how we can even go back and look at our own personal histories on them, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, this, how did you get into like public relations and marketing? Why is it something that you kind of still enjoy doing?
I got into it, to be honest with you. I shuffled around colleges for a little while, so I'm at my third university now, at Tulane University. So I get there, and originally, you know, previously my majors were mass comm. So I had every anticipation on gaining experience in broadcast, into film industry, the music industry. I kind of wanted to be a jack of all trades. I wanted to be this ominous type of guy. I wanted to be identified as that guy to go in and insert myself in certain spaces and become effective. So I get to Tulane, they don't have mass comm. I have to pick something in arts and humanities, a lot more specific. So I had no idea what I was going to do. So I filled out an eval. It was a personality eval. I gave it to my advisor at the time, and she told me come see her in 48 hours. So when I went back and sat with her, she gave me the curriculum breakdown to public relations. So I was like, I have no idea what this is. This is 2008 at the time. So I was like, I don't know what this is. So she briefly explained to me what it was. I was like, okay, I kind of get an idea of what it is. But my first class that fall semester, my public relations intro professor, he was the chairperson of the public relations department. So obviously his teachings came with a lot of rigor. He didn't let up, but sitting there, I realized that I was groomed for PR this entire time. I tell everyone, when I was a kid, my mother had gone back to school to finish her undergrad. So obviously, you know, if she's doing homework, she's gonna make you do your homework right along with her. So I would sit on the floor at the foot of the bed doing my homework. Wow. And what's on the TV while mom is doing her homework, E-News, Entertainment Tonight, you know, that type of thing. So I'm subconsciously programming all of this good Hollywood jargon and all of this other good stuff, knowing the who's who and all that other good stuff. So, you know, learning about what brands are they wearing and why the brands are important on red carpet events and stuff like that. Learning what press runs were and all that good stuff. So I had no place to utilize all of that useless knowledge that I had soaked in. So I figured out, like, this is where I deserve to be. This is where I need to be. Like the universe is aligning me to utilize all of this good stuff. And then, of course, with the formal education and the training and the experiences, it doubled down on it. So getting involved in that, and I had quite a few different professors at my time at Tulane. And then my senior year, I started my PR company, Monaco International Public Relations,
Yes,
and
sir.
I did it purely out of necessity. A good friend of mine, he was starting his music career, and he wanted representation. So he pitched it to me, and I felt like I was ill-equipped, but I went ahead and agreed to do it anyway. And I was like, let me legitimize myself and do it the right way. Started the company in the fall of 2011, and here we are, 2023, still thriving. Over 100 brands that have been branded, marketed, sold to the press. Um, yeah, and you know, we're still here, still doing it, still being relevant.
I'm grateful for the work that we've done together. Like many people might not know, but you're the one that first represented me, helped me to promote my brand. And
Absolutely.
I want to say, to your story was amazing. If you're talking about the stars aligning, look at how the world aligned to all of us needing a personal brand. When you were watching that E News and everything like that, it was just for the celebrities. It was only for the people who were famous. And now with social media and branding and marketing, like we're talking about now, we all have access to it. We all have access to try and become, I guess that's how movies used to be, popularity contests. But now we have the ability to influence, to connect, to share what we know, help others, build our own. You have the skill set and the background and even the upbringing to be perfectly suited for the environment and culture that has been created.
Yeah, absolutely. As PR and branding and marketing professionals, it's our job to not only have our finger on the pulse, but to also have foresight as to what's to come.
Yeah.
I saw the trend of personal brand. I saw the train coming, and I thought that it was going to be a big old deal. This was probably maybe 2016, 2017, around that time. I saw the need for, personal brand, and I was so big on pushing the people I was representing at the time to step up and rise to the occasion
Definitely.
into that, all the while neglecting my need to be, a personal brand as well. So I leaned into that a little bit. I'm still rejecting reels and stuff like that, just because I feel like I'm not compelling enough to do a reel, but I'll build some things and I'll design some things and lay some things out for clients that I represent. So that's where I'm at with it.
Hey, man, there's not much I disagree with you on, but the fire that you're spitting right now, my man, you definitely have some compelling, real material for sure. Now, let me ask,
um, yeah, go ahead.
I want to ask you this. So, of course, there's a bunch of trends, social media platforms change, all this stuff like evolves and changes. But with your formal education, we're still talking about marketing, branding, like a component of business, right? So, what are some fundamental PR, marketing, and branding um, tips and tools that are timeless that you've seen go from the, black and white TV era to now where we're doing social media? Everyone, what has stayed consistent that we can rely upon as we continue to try and build our personal brands and our marketing strategies?
Heartstrings. You got to pull on people's heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that's been able to really and truly, that's what public relations is, appealing to the public. How do you get them to understand your level of communication? How do you get them to passionately invest in your messaging so then they can financially invest in the future? So whether you have a used car lot, whether you have coffee by way of Lions Brew Coffee, or um, whether you want to sell yourself via seminars and stuff like that, you have to emotionally tap in and get these people to understand who you are as a person, as a brand entity. No one knows who runs Coca-Cola. I can go knock on 12 doors and I won't get the clear answer. But what Coca-Cola has been able to do for over 100 years is be able to pull at heartstrings and get people to understand what Coca-Cola means. Coca-Cola means barbecues. Coca-Cola means the polar bears at Christmas. Coca-Cola means chili dog at a ballpark stadium. So that's part of their messaging. And all of that is centered around timeless effects. There's always going to be baseball. There's always going to be Christmas. there's always going to be summers.
Yeah.
So they leaned into that, and they were able to tap into that and continue to reinvent themselves while still sticking to their core values and getting people to emotionally buy in.
Harsh. I like it. I like it. That's like you said, being able to emotionally connect. I remember I heard a guy saying people don't buy what you buy. I mean, people don't buy what you sell. They buy why you sell it.
That is 100% correct. And that goes with every single consumable. I challenge everyone who's in here, look around your room, look in your driveway. Why did you financially invest in that TV, though, that brand of clothes, that car that you drive? It's because of the messaging.
No, for sure. Definitely. Definitely. All right. So let me ask you this. With all like Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you got to be on YouTube, right? How does a person keep up with all these ways they have to be on social media, and how do they keep content creation from just being their life?
Okay, so first of all, scheduling. Obviously, because of a lot of the folks out there, if you have a personal brand or if you're the proprietor of a company, obviously you have to devote your time to the core itself, which is the business. So you want to balance finances and you want to create the product itself and all of that. But when it comes to content creation, scheduling, carve out a day where you can knock out 10 to 12 pieces of content, and you just have to be committed. That's part of your scheduling process. So for my restaurateurs out there, if you're closed on Sundays and Mondays, obviously you'll spend one of those days obviously doing a family thing or whatever, but one of those days has to be devoted to creating that content. That's part of your job. If not, delegating. Delegating goes a long way. I would prefer for those people who are just getting started out there, look to outsource to professionals, someone who's in branding and marketing, such as myself and a few others out there. But outsource and get those people to do it for you because that's their livelihood. Your livelihood is to sell the product or to sell the service. So with that being said, scheduling. After that, you want to use quality equipment.
Sure.
Yeah, quality equipment goes a long way. I'm looking at the mic that you have.
Yes, sir.
That's an omnidirectional mic, and that works for your audio experience.
Yes.
Obviously, everyone knows someone who does video, right? You know someone who does video better than you. Outsource to that person. If you don't have the budget, use the barter system. You have something that you can contribute to them that is going to add value to who they are as a personal brand as well. Equipment, scheduling, and you got to have the discipline. You got to have the discipline. You know, if Monday is your day off and you got to crank out that content, set a time schedule and stick to it. You don't have a choice because content creation is a key aspect to whether your brand lives or dies.
No, definitely. You have to be consistent. You got to have that discipline. Like I like what you said. You got to have your quality software. And I mean, without you, it'd be hard for me to do any of the things that I have done. So definitely outsourcing and then having that, that second person to be able to look your content over, the type of content or our ability to kind of look forward and say, this is where we're kind of headed. So start making some reels, start making some shorts, like that, having not just outsourcing only the ability to make it, but the ability to have someone you understand making, I think is also extremely
Yeah.
helpful. So you kind of said this earlier, I guess, with the heartstring comment, but I want to, just ask kind of like even a little deeper. Give me some more keys to creating an authentic brand.
Okay, so the keys to creating an authentic brand, first you have to be able to identify who you are as a brand, right? So if we look at a situation and say, okay, I'm a clothing line, right? What type of clothing line? Are you fast fashion, or are you streetwear, or are you high end? Hold on 2 seconds, intercom. All right, I apologize about that. I'm the director of marketing and communications at a high school
Yep.
for those who are out there. So, what you hear is an intercom and stuff like that. So, business as usual. So with that being said,
That was good. And that was, not only do you help us, you help institutions.
so yeah, and again, this is my 9 to 5. Well, this is like my 9 to 8, 9 o'clock rather. So yeah, so to go back to answering your question, um, what it what it takes is, like I said, you have to identify what messaging that you want to communicate. If you're a clothing brand, if you want to be fast fashion, if you want to be high end, if you want to be streetwear, you have to be able to identify that and stand on it. That's number one. And then sticking to that, being of the culture. So in relation to clothing, fast fashion brand, don't try to do the things that your Givenchy and your Tiffany and company, don't try to do the things that they do, because your consumer base is not the folks that are also buying Givenchy. Your in fast fashion, your consumer base is more of Forever 21, Fashion Nova, and some of those other fast fashion houses. And then the same thing with Tiffany and Co. and Louis Vuitton. Obviously, they're not doing the same things that the Fashion Novas of the world are doing. And when it comes to that, there's always going to be a consumer that's going to be willing to buy the specific field that you're in. You just have to lean on that, and you have to be 100% confident in who you are. I've worked with several companies who decided to want to switch up their messaging and their mission, mid campaign or mid lifespan. We're 1 or 2 years in and they want to shift. And I'm like, no, don't shift, because you're, number one, you're starting over. And then number two, you're going to confuse the masses. And when you confuse the masses, you end up losing the people who are already emotionally invested.
Sure.
If I'm selling, if I'm selling t-shirts and I decide I want to get away from t-shirts altogether and just push hats, obviously my t-shirt folk who have already consumed some of my t-shirts, they're going to look at me and say, hey, well, where the shirts at? You're only pushing hats now. Whereas if you start off and open up the opportunity to have t-shirts and hats, now you could check off the boxes, but just completely just pulling the plug and shutting down shop, you're doing the consumers a disservice. You're doing yourself as an entrepreneur a disservice. And the team that you've built around you, you're doing those folks a disservice as well. Like I said, it gets very frustrating, because us marketing and branding professionals, we become ambassadors of the brand as well.
Yeah.
We have to know and love the brand in order to push it.
Yeah, no, for sure. The other thing is, they think that switching that message is going to increase the speed, and it's not. I think I think they're, they don't realize, hey, it's growing, and I think by injecting this new kind of like message that's going to somehow, make it go faster. When no, we were staying authentic, like you said, to what drew those people there in the first place, delivered them what you promised them. Like, they're here for the why, and switching the message is kind of changing the why, not so much as you think. You think they're just here for the product, and the product is the same, but you're about to change the identity of the product. Well, these people identify with the current identity. So that's what keeps it authentic.
That's exactly correct. I mean, you and I, we like certain specific foods. Well, think about if the restaurant that we like to go to for those specific foods just pulled it off the menu. We have no reason to patronize that restaurant anymore.
No, for sure. I definitely 100% agree with you. I think that's the core essence, like you said, to the authentic brand, is to staying true to that. And I think I was telling the young man I met with earlier about TikTok, and influence. He was like, influences. He made a good point though. It's not as hard as we as older people think it is anymore to kind of really do stuff, and that influence is like how they view currency. Like, they look at the influence. They look at this person has this many followers, that many followers, and that's what's impressive to them. The only thing I caution is if you don't see the actual real monetization, then just that amount of attention is giving you an illusion, right? You can have as many followers or views as you want, but if you're not able to turn that into more, it's really going to be, a flash in the pan. Like you said a minute ago, just kind of going viral, not building something organically over a long time. The reason why me and you are as successful as we are is this is taking a long time. Like, we it doesn't have to take a long time for you to get your message out and get people to connect with you. That can be instant. You can meet a person, they can connect with you. To get many people to do that over time, you have to deliver value that allow the people that are already connecting with you to share. Like the people that are here right now, we thank you, we love you, because if we hadn't given you the quality over the years so far coming to this point, you wouldn't be here. We would have, one person watching instead of the people that are all here right now and liking and commenting, and thank you so much for being here. But we want you to know that we put in the effort to make sure that we were here to be able to be giving you value and talking to you in a way that's not wasting your time. And I think that that's a very big key in an authentic brand, is knowing that coming from the heart. Like I had the young man this morning, like he told me, he was like, man, you're really genuine, you're really authentic in the way that you're trying to help me. And I'm like, yeah, man, because I don't need nothing from you and I don't want to take anything from you. I just want to give to you because I've been in your shoes and I know what it's like. And that's kind of where all of my content and branding come from, and why people connect with me. They know that the reason why I'm doing everything is for my sons, and because I genuinely feel like no one can stop me. So sharing what I know is not something I'm selfish about, because I feel like the more of us know it about financial education, about what we're doing right now, the more I share my high value conversations with the people that are in my network, the more we'll all become successful and we can work together. Right? Instead of me feeling like, oh, you have the knowledge that I have, so it blocks me, I actually feel the opposite way. The more I can tell you, the more we could potentially partner. The more you can, the more I help this next generation understand financial education, the more they'll be able to do business together, do real estate together, start companies together, talk about stocks while they're talking about basketball in the barbershop, because they have a comprehension level that now is organic because of Read Real Estate Broke, or because of the content that I brought forward. So I think people who engage with me realize that, and that's where my authentic brand comes from. You know what I mean? Same with you. Like you said, you love the products and the people that you work for. You, like, there's a saying that says, you pick your customers, they don't pick you. So you have an ability to be able to select who you want to work with and what brands you want to represent. And so the authenticity that we feel, that I've always felt, and I think that people feel from you, is because they know that you're actually pushing their brand. You're not just picking them up as a client, just to make money. Like, you really looked at the product, analyzed if it was in alignment with you, and do you feel comfortable getting behind it? Is that, you feel like that's accurate?
100% accurate. So much to where I've represented some brands not knowing anything about the industry prior to, but as you know, certain processes can be applied in different fields. I'm looking at Lions Brew right now. I knew nothing about the coffee industry. I'm not a coffee drinker, but it forced me to learn about the different types of coffee bean itself, the process that it's made, the shelf life is all of that kind of stuff is important. What continent it's coming from, all of those different types of things. So it's just like, and it goes the same way, because as a professional, not only am I becoming a student of it, but I'm also right there in the trenches, and I'm showing that I take the initiative. There's so many other mass media marketing houses where, you sign on and, you pay a ridiculously high retainer per month, and they dispatch someone who's, they don't look up at you when they talk. You only talk to your marketing firm via email or something like that. Monaco International does not give that particular type of experience. We're almost like the quote unquote, we're almost like insurance claim adjusters of the PR world. Like, we're right there in the trenches, assessing the damages, rubbing your back, are you okay, and stuff like that. So that's what I like to brand myself as. And you're going to get that experience with quite a few boutique marketing firms out there. So with that being said, unless you're a big old corporation, I encourage everyone to get a front-facing PR branding marketing practitioner, because you're going to get that experience. You're going to get someone who's going to answer the phone. You're going to get someone that's going to text you back. You're going to get someone that's going to loop you in on the outside conversations that they're having with some other partnership entities and, manufacturers and ambassadors of mass media and stuff like that. I've learned so much about the sports world. I've learned so much about fashion, I've learned so much about the food industry. I knew a great deal, but learning the culture of mom and pop restaurants versus high-end restaurants, learning the culture about the food truck versus the mom and pop restaurants. Like all of it's different.
Yeah.
And if your ears aren't open and your eyes aren't open, you're going to fail as a
Yeah.
professional. And that's something that I try to take pride in. I've had some glows. I've had some moments where it calls for me to grow, but all in all, I value every experience that I've been in, and I definitely value the people that I'm working with now. Like, my entire ecosystem of brands that I associate myself with, they all popping in their own right.
For real. I feel you, man. I want to give a one piece of advice to everybody too is like, man, like don't shortcut the process. Like don't be corny. Don't be throwing stuff out here just to do it. And then don't just try and get popular. Like it's not about that. Like the only way you really gonna succeed is stop, take a moment, and actually want to help people. If you're only looking at this from a how can I get big, how can I shine, how can I get my followers up, my numbers up, my likes up, if you go about it like that, you are going to fail. Because to be honest, they even have the system set up like that. Even if you go all the way back to the way Google was set up when they first started making it to where Google was able to start doing the algorithm of search algorithms. The real deal was it was relevancy. The secret key that they hit into was people like liking and also sharing links of pages to other people that they found relevant. So when you went to Google something, the most liked one by other people, the most relevant one came up top that would be most likely to help you because other people had found it. If you don't
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would just, so yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, I mean, that goes back to your point where followers, they kind of equate that to brand value, or they kind of equate that to relevancy or currency rather. And that is certainly not the case. And it goes the same way with, are you on the first page of your Google results? Well, depending on what kind of VPN you have, your first page of Google results is all advertisement anyway. So that doesn't matter. What I do implore everyone to do is uh, continue to be an ambassador of solving problems. You know, whatever you have, why is this relevant? What kind of issues are they having in fast fashion? What kind of issues are they having in food consumables? Solve that problem and stand on it.
Well, I want to say this. Most people don't know this, but well, excuse me. Most people probably do know this, but we were both at St. In high school. That's how we met. I'm 2, 3 years older than you. I was a drum major before you were. I showed you the ropes. But then since then we've marched together. You still help with the band to this day, and I say that to say that we're leaders, right? We're natural leaders, and we took a leadership position, and we still here today are trying to lead you somewhere as you're paying attention to us. But what that brings me to is the point I wanted to make. Your people that follow you, they're your followers, right? The word that's not used on your page is that then you are the leader.
Correct.
The leader. You can't have followers just because you want people to pay attention to you. If you have a lot of followers, you probably need to be leading them people somewhere, right? So y'all following us today, you're paying attention today. You took time out of your lunch break or midday to come be here, listen to us. The things I brought to you from my relationship with Mel is to lead you to being able to be more successful. So to be successful on social media and in your personal brand, you need to 100% be taking these people somewhere if they're paying attention to you. If you have followers, deliver real content. Don't go on there all the time just making a fool out of yourself, bro. I'm sorry, but I cannot stand like being famous for being an idiot. Like if you do comedy, then that's cool, man. Do comedy, but you ain't got to come out here and embarrass yourself just to get a lot of likes, just a lot of followers. You can come and you can deliver actual, real, like content. Like everyone here today, you're doing whatever you're doing in your profession like that, but we have something high value of real content that some people might be considered slow and boring, methodical, and business. That's cool, but the people that's gonna get it is gonna get it. And this is what I really want to say: everything ain't for everybody. Everything ain't for everybody. So if you're McDonald's with your message, don't get mad that they got rallies and they got Burger King and they got Taco Bell. Feed your people that came to eat from you. You understand what I'm saying? Feed your people. Everything ain't for everybody. Don't try and please everyone. Let the people who follow you get your good content. Like, I teach financial education, success, business strategies, and I help people reach success through deliberate self-improvement. But here's what I look at when I look at other people who do the same thing I do. I look at it like a college professor, right? I can't teach all the students math. They got other college professors in this school too, and we work together. And I like how you teaching your lessons plan. That's how you gotta look at when you out here doing your social media and your business. Don't look at it like you behind or you in competition or you not keeping up and all that stuff like that. Nah, man. Teach your course, lead your people, feed your people. You know, and if you focus on that, that's where your passion and your drive gonna come from. If your passion and drive come from checking every time how many people liked your video, how many people followed you and stuff like that, you're not gonna have no organic growth. People are not gonna share your content because you're selfish. You know what I mean? You being selfish, and that's why it's not called likers, right? They're called followers for a reason. You just haven't had the mind shift yet to understand that makes you the leader. And if you're the leader, man, take them somewhere. Take them somewhere positive. Don't take them to, some funny joke that you're doing in your bathroom, slipping on the floor or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, care about what you're putting out in the world about yourself and what people are consuming from you as their leader. You feel me on that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So to make that relative to my field, I see a lot of branding and marketing, quote unquote, professionals, and all they're doing, they're using that term extremely loosely. They don't know the X's and O's outside of social media. If social media were to go down today, guess what? My job still goes on. I know how to continue to resonate and communicate these messages to the world beyond social media, but a lot of them can't. And a lot of them use that term so people will pay attention again to them. They're not looking to lead someone in a specific direction. They're out there glorifying high-end fashion products. Oh, I'm walking in this meeting with my $800 Gucci loafers on, getting out of my Mercedes and all of that. I have a nice car, but I mean, by looking at my social, no one would ever know that.
Yeah,
Because my messaging is not about what I have on. My messaging is about what I'm capable of bringing to your business, what type of value I'm capable of adding to you. So, like I said, I mean, back in '08 when I took on public relations as a major, so I'm a semester in, so right around '09 going into 2010, I tell everyone I'm a public relations manager. Nobody knew what public relations was.
sure.
And now fast forward, it's almost like it's the cool job to have, be a branding or a marketing professional. And you really have to be cut from this thing in order to permeate to the top, because today or tomorrow, and it will happen, the influencer aspect of our profession will die.
Yeah,
It will die. And it's going to go back to who's still able to cut their teeth, who's able to still do the work. We're going to be the ones to continue to survive and continue to make a decent living and continue to transform as time evolves.
Well, I mean, also too, I mean, I think people don't see, but I wrote Read Me or Stay Broke, and I was talking to this young man about it, and it was cool because I didn't know that, kids really knew the term. And he was like, did you have a ghostwriter? And I was like, man, hell no. Like, I'm for real, dog. But I didn't know he knew, that people was doing that in books. I knew people knew that people do that with music. But I know a lot of people that do that with books, even a lot of celebrities. They're not taking the time to really write these books. Somebody's writing that book for them, and they're snapping their face on it like it's like it's a license,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that to say Chat GPT, y'all. I know some people have heard about that. It's AI software right now. It's writing content for people. So I think it's a 50-50 get, like you have to kind of evolve with the times. So yes, you can use like Canva has like a magic word aspect. So canva.com helps people create content. You have Chat GPT now, which is like writing content and writing articles and newspaper for people. It's artificial intelligence. But I think there's going to be a humanness that we're all going to be able to feel. And I'll give you an example. Like, there's not a lot of music artists right now, some, but if you think about Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, right? Like these kind of people, you could let a 2-year-old listen to that music right now, and that kid is going to like that music. And I believe the reason for that is it still had soul. Like they took their time. They really wrote that music. You know what I mean? So even now you have AI that can make art. It doesn't matter because it didn't take them no time. It didn't take them no effort. You see what I'm saying? So we're still, so when I said with my book, I wrote it because I really had something to say. I wasn't trying to write a book for marketing or for people to kind of know, oh yeah, I'm an author. Like I didn't major in English. I had never wrote a book in my life. I wrote that book because I felt compelled to write that book. I was like, how can I make sure that the financial education I want to give to people is indestructible? And what I realized was that books, hardback cover books that get passed from like shelf to shelf, family to family, person to person, like you got to burn it. Right, you could delete a video, you could erase my content, you could block my profile, but the book, like somebody just like Ashley, what's up, Ash, says she still has a book, right? Because it lasts. That's what made me write the book. It came from the heart. So when it comes to your social media and your branding, like it's really just a tool. Like stop looking at it as like it's your thing. You're your thing. It's the tool that allows you to express your thing. Right? Be what you want to share. Don't let it be who you are. Like, you know, that I think that's like the biggest part is you have to stay. Like our human connection at the end of the day is gonna transcend all this robotics, all this AI, all this automation. The people who are really gonna succeed, the people who are still gonna have influence after all of this, because it's gonna start getting real easy to spot when something was wrote like by the computer or by the AI, or when you're interacting with something that's automation and not a real person. And a person that's going to succeed is when you still have the human connection, man. When you still have the ability to speak with real love and care, and a person can feel it. It's so easy to feel. The young man this morning was saying how easy it's for young kids to kind of see through the BS. Like I feel like it's easy for them to see through the BS when someone's like talking. But it is hard for them to see through the BS of the results. Because when I showed him, I was like, yeah, you know, you see this little travel blog, or maybe this young lady who's your age, who's like 20-something years old, and you're like, oh, man, like I'm behind. Like, yeah, she's behind on her daddy credit card rewards. So you can't really compare yourself to her like that. You know what I mean? Don't do that to yourself. Be you. Where you coming from, what you talking from is going to resonate because it's you. Like I said, everything ain't for everybody. But, man, there are some people that's going to love your flavor, and they're going to share with others because it's been so good to them.
Absolutely. I mean, to your point, to echo that, like I said, when it comes to AI and all of that, I think a lot of that stuff was created out of convenience. The unfortunate part is a lot of people are using it as the way, and they don't think that technology can either break or technology can actually succumb to whomever created it. All it takes is for Instagram. Well, I mean, we've seen it a couple of times over the past 3 years where we'll have a random day where Instagram and Facebook will go down. So again, what are you going to do as a quote unquote marketing or a branding professional, or even the proprietor of your brand? How are you going to continue to communicate the message for those 24, 72, infinite amount of hours that those brands are closed? That is where we shine, because we still know that there's other methods of communication beyond just social. Social wasn't always a thing. I was communicating brands and pushing brands and stuff before social was as easily accessible as it was. Now we have, you know, people that are in their 70s that are on social. But I can remember when my folks were in their 40s, they were hesitant about getting on social. Now they're on there just as active as I am. So saying that to say, those guys who are doing, those quick cooking tutorials, showing how they made shrimp tacos. Everybody can make shrimp tacos, but it takes the real people who put in the work, who took the further education, the further studying. You've done residencies in restaurants and stuff. It takes them to know certain spices or complement certain sauces and what type of garnish you put on a plate, and knowing how to dress up your plate according to the neighborhood and the area that you serve it in. All of, a real restaurateur knows their psychographs.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, they ain't know about that word.
Come on now.
Psychographs. Tell them psychographics, man.
Yeah. Look, there's a high degree of psychology that comes into branding and marketing.
As fast as I can. with you. Psychographs, I used to say this all the time to my kids, like, because sometimes we watch the TV, I mute the commercials, right? And I used to tell them, you don't get commercials in your TV. You get TV in your commercials. You get TV in your commercials. And what we mean by psychographs is, before social media, when we didn't understand, when people didn't know about marketing and branding, psychographs or psychological graphics, right, was the way that companies like magazines, TV shows, and newspapers were able to find the market that they were going to sell stuff to. And the way they did that was they made something for you to bring those kind of people like here, so that I can sell you these ads. For instance, look at the Super Bowl. What runs the most during Super Bowl? Truck commercials. Because most of the people that's watching is middle-aged white dudes in the country with a ball cap. You're going to see truck after truck after truck, because the largest psychographic in that market is going to be that person. Go look at an Elle magazine or a Cosmopolitan magazine. The people that they marketed that magazine to bring them in to run those ads. The magazine was really more ads. Newspapers ran the ads. So if you look at social media now, what do you have? You have all these ads, right? They come to you because of the kind of psychograph that you are. So you have to understand, for your brand, who are the kind of people psychologically that relate to what I'm talking about, right? Who are the people that in my psychographic are going to be the people that are going to be best served by what I'm offering, and then try and find those people and offer it to them. Everything ain't for everybody. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, Mel.
I'm gonna do you one even better than that. So you brought up the Super Bowl. What type of ads do we commonly see during the Super Bowl? Which is truck commercials or beer commercials or Pepsi or something like that. Things that the average Joe Schmo will consume while he's thinking about football. I'm gonna do you one even better than that. Everybody in here could remember the time when cartoons were at their apex in the 80s and 90s,
Sure.
right? Saturday morning cartoons for my folks who grew up in the 80s, and then obviously us born in the 80s but grew up in the 90s. We could remember when there were 24-hour cartoon channels.
Yeah.
We could remember when cartoons used to go off at 9 p.m. at night,
yeah.
Right? So during that time when all we're watching is cartoons, there was two industries that benefited the most during that time. Toys, cereal.
Yeah, sure.
Toy companies and food manufacturers that produce cereal. Those companies made billions because, again, they're putting TV in their ads. So if I'm watching, for example, I grew up a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Power Ranger kid, right? So I'm watching it, and guess what pops up as a commercial? The toy for the exact same program I just was finished watching. So now I'm going to run, knock on my parents' door. Hey, look, I got to have da 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 da. And I talk about it for the next 2 or 3 days after seeing it that one particular time, right? So, come Christmas, guess what's under the tree? Guess what's in my bed for my birthday? The exact same toy that I asked for. And then, of course, obviously, we know, you and I grew up in the same era. So we know after Saturday morning cartoons come up, now you got to, clean the house and all that other kind of stuff. So cool, you clean the house, but then now we got to go make groceries. We go make groceries. You and me both probably, and everybody in here is probably going to ease our way down that cereal aisle, and we got to get the chocolate cereal with the marshmallows. We got to get the stuff with that's full of color. We got to get it all. We got to get the Fruity Pebbles, all of that stuff that we just finished watching. We probably watched as many hours of cereal ads as we did in programming, and all of that was by design. So the day it shifted is when networks started to want to go more toward educational programming. So the Animal Planet shows and the things like that were airing on Saturdays, and those merchandise and those food companies took a big old dip.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't by chance; it was by design. Like they knew what they were doing in the 80s and 90s.
I feel you, man. I think like the more people kind of get an understanding of what we're talking about, the more it's like helping them see that this is a business aspect. Like this morning, I had a great conversation with Isaiah. Like he was such a knowledgeable, passionate young man, and he just needed just more guidance. But man, he's got what it takes to really succeed. But he was showing me and talking about, the marketing and the going viral, and how TikTok is the biggest platform in the world. And I was like, my brother, this is just one component of business. You know what I mean? Like, I know this feels so big because this is what we're all seeing all the time, but this is just one part of the business, right? And the part you're talking about, even after you do all that, it's still just the income. Once you have the income, you still got to make sure you get that debt right. Make sure you get that credit. Make sure you have some savings. Then turn it over and be able to then borrow money to invest in property, to get some stocks, to be able to own a business. Like, there's a fundamental kind of base here as a financially successful adult that I want you to see. I love what you're showing me, but I want you to take a step back and let me show you where it fits into the whole puzzle. Let me show you how to play chess. You only got your one piece, and I know I'll be like, man, this queen is bomb. I'm like, I love you. That's awesome. But you're going to mess up your whole strategy by just trying to get checkmate from the very beginning. You have to have a strategy and a plan and map it out, And I think that's where, like, this social media, as we try and share with you what's made us at least have enough influence to kind of have you guys here today, is that we took the time to be strategic about what we want to help and share, right? You're getting good content right now, right? We're not on here like making a fool out of ourselves. We're giving you real deal knowledge that you could take and apply. And that's kind of how you want to do your content as you move forward. Why do you want to help people? What do you want to help them with? Who is your target audience and psychologically, right? My target audience has always been people that feel the way I felt. When I was broke, when I didn't understand money, when I didn't realize what it took to be financially successful, I hated that feeling. That's what made me write my book. That's what makes me talk to people right now. That's what constantly drives me, is the unfair nature of the way the financial success system in this country is used by some and hidden from others. And I'm right here in the middle, like, I'm gonna keep telling it. I'm gonna keep showing it. I don't care. I'm gonna make it fun. The book gonna be written good. The way I deliver it gonna be passionate. I'm gonna make it fun. I know how to season my food. Other people, you gonna hear everything. I promise you. Education, if it's boring over there, it's fire over here. I'm gonna give it to you from a place feel, right? And you want to be successful, you want to deliberately self-improve. Man, I was broke, I was divorced, I had custody of my kids, I was paying child support. I know how I feel. I had to improve myself all the way to be sitting here talking to you. I have all this right here. So if you want to know how to do that, I'm gonna give you that too. That's what my authenticity, and that's why I know my target audience is keeping it real on this money and keeping it real on what it takes to be successful in this life. And people could feel that I'm not on that BS. You know what I mean? And that's why they come back, and that's why they deal with me. And I share conversation. Like, me and you could be having this conversation in private. We've had this conversation in private millions of times as we come up with different business strategies and what we're gonna do and what we're gonna come up with, how I'm gonna bust a move, right? But bringing a high value conversation to other people who don't really have access to me and you like that, that's another thing I'm doing. Collective success, helping people be successful together, right? It's gonna grow and it's gonna take off because it's got heart in it, dog. You know what I mean? Because it's real, because it's coming from an authentic place, and you could feel the purposeful nature of my intention. That's why you're gonna share it. Not because Mark did this or Mark did that. No, it's because what Mark did for me, and I want to help y'all see that. That's how we roll, and you can use that. That's what's really gonna help you be successful, man. Coming from a pure place like that.
Absolutely. And again, that goes back to one of the initial things of finding out your why. Why is it that you're going into business? Figuring out your brand identity. Once you figure out your why, okay, all right, if this is who I want to be, if this is the product that I want to communicate, who do I want to communicate it to and why?
Yeah.
I mean, me, myself, I went into public relations because I believe that there's value in storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
There's value in storytelling. And as I figured it out, again, I had to look around and while I was passionately involved in, all of the other things that I liked so much. And it was because it was the underlying story to that. And I truly believe that anybody who comes up with something that you want to communicate to the masses, you have a story to tell. You have your story as to your why. And then you also want to peel back the layers and get into the why of the consumer. Again, pulling at their heartstrings. Why is it that we love Louis Vuitton? You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm probably the Louis Vuitton of marketing.
For real. That's what I mean. Hey, that's what you, that's like you said, that's how you feel, right?
Yeah, of course. And on the competitive side, I better feel like that. You know,
Yeah.
I better feel like that. So I mean, that goes back to, like, let me take you to the promised land. It's a uphill battle. We're gonna have peaks and valleys in this, but at the end of this mountain, you're going to have what you consider your measure of success, whatever that is. If your success is selling 1 million copies, if your success is being an Amazon bestseller, if your goal is to have your product consumed by a corporation in a buyout, that's great. Let me help you take you there.
Yes. Yes. All right. So I want to share a very helpful brand storytelling model that I learned over the years, so that you can help craft your marketing message around a story. So right here, I put it in the comments. It's called At First, But Then, and Now. Right? But at first, but then, and now. So if you're going to tell your brand story, it kind of goes like this. At first, I was struggling with my finances and my money, and I really couldn't figure out what to do. But then I read Read Me or Stay Broke, and I got knowledge. And now I'm able to own my own home, improve my credit, start a business, and I'm financially successful. That at first, but then, and now is how your customers kind of see the benefit of your product. Where you or the person in your marketing story started, what happened as a result of using your product, and now the result that they have from using your product. At first, but then, and now. Take that down and keep it as a note, because that's how you can convey a lot of ideas, right? And it doesn't have to be just because you learn this strategy. I want to make something very clear. Just because you learn this strategy doesn't make it inauthentic, right? It still has love and care in it. You're just learning a method, the same way you learn to outline, brainstorm, proofread, reread, redraft, and make a final draft of a paper when you were in school. That doesn't make what you were trying to say any less authentic in your paper that you were giving to your teacher. You just needed to learn the real method to be able to convey it authentically and correctly. So at first, but then, and now, just because you learn a tactic or a strategy of branding and marketing doesn't mean it's not still not from the heart. Just put the heart in it, right? At first, what really happened that you really cared about with that person or with yourself. But then what they really use, what did they actually use to get better? And now what is their real results, right? But use that. People can connect with that because we all go through that on a daily basis. At first, my car was broke down. And then I called AAA. And now I'm back driving again. Like, you know what I mean? Just but tell the story of how, because what's beautiful is the way you use this is at first is wherever your target market is. A lot of my target market are struggling with financial success because it's not taught to us. We don't know. They keep it from us now. So at first, this is where most people are that I talk to. But then using my book, taking my courses, being in my class, coming to engage with me, being on my lives, right? They learned more than they knew. And now they're able to do better, do more things, help more people, gain more success, become more wealthy. So use that in your brand story and in your social media to help you be more successful on ideas that you want to convey as far as where a person is, how your product can help them, and what the benefit will be.
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, not only that, but I mean, so marketing professionals, I think it's our job to first ask that brand proprietor, that business owner. Our job is to ask them that first, because of course, obviously, we have to know that. So, what is your at first, but then and now? How do you want the consumer to feel? But there's that, and then there's so many other um, attributes and things that we implement that are super valuable to your brand. I mean, we have the law of averages method that's also applied in finance and real estate and stuff like that. So we go by law of averages. We have identifying what your SWOT method is. That's your SWOT. We have your 4Ps. We have your 5Ws. There's so many others. And then there's also the 4Cs, right? So there's so many other things, but I mean, definitely, if for those out there, if you cannot afford to put someone on retainer, you at least deserve to warrant yourself one or two conversations with a branding or marketing professional just to help tee you off and get you started. That way you have a great understanding if you don't have the regulated budget for it. But I do recommend that that's actually one of those things that you consider in your budget. Oftentimes, early on in my career, my services rendered was the last to be considered and then the first to be out the door. Um, and then unfortunately, it's essential. It's almost like paying for a payroll system. It's a necessity. Branding and marketing is a necessity because you're always going to want to attract to the people. And obviously, you can't do it for yourself. You need someone to be the bullhorn. You need someone to be the echo behind that. And that's what we take pride in doing.
I agree with you because a lot of people, I think, just because they know how to use social media, don't realize they don't know what they're doing. Right?
Right.
A lot of people have money, but that don't mean you're wealthy, right? You have it, but do you know what you're doing? Right? So same thing, like having somebody like you to help and use to promote your brand and understand what you're doing. I can have social media, but do I know what I'm doing? Right? And you kind of come in with, hey man, look, let me tell you some secrets. Let me show you some stuff I've been studying that you haven't studied yet that really can help you make this pop, All right, before I let you go, I want to ask one thing. Are traditional forms of media like the newspaper, TV ads, radio, like are those things dead?
In the sense of the mass variety that they are, the mass varieties are dying. I'm not going to say big, but they are dying. Now, when it comes to print, print is still very relevant because I could say a name like New York Times, I could say Washington Post, I could say Time Magazine, and everybody in here knows exactly what I'm talking about. Even the younger generation, and they probably never read a newspaper.
Right.
Those are juggernauts in the print media. So obviously, what we saw once upon a time in recent years, we saw a lot of print and a lot of mass media was going through this mass consolidation, where they were all consuming each other, right? And that just tells you that a lot of those smaller companies just hit the end of their lifespan, and that happens with a lot of product. You hit the end of your lifespan. Hopefully, at the end of life for your company does include some type of payout where you can take advantage of all of the hard work that you put in on. But when it comes to like I said, with print media, it's still very relevant. The magazines are a lot thinner, but they still have a relevant voice and to influence into in today's society.
Yeah, I think Isaiah made a good point. He said they have online articles too now. They had to adapt to the times. They had to come over. So you make a good point. I think what people don't realize is that advertising model that we described is the reason why they died. They didn't really die because of lack of popularity. The popularity is still there for you to leverage if you were to be on ESPN or the local morning news or to get into the Wall Street Journal or to be on CNN or something like that. Once you say that you were on there, there's a higher level. We all have access to social media. Everyone doesn't have access to be in Essence magazine. Everyone doesn't have access to be on television. So there's still a credibility there that's above the social media that could come back and help your branding and your marketing. But those companies are they're going down as far as revenue because Facebook, Instagram took their model. Remember when I said you have commercials, you have television in your commercials, not commercials in your television. There was a time before when Facebook had no advertising, but before they had their initial public offering, which is an IPO, before they had stock. Right before Facebook went public, it didn't have a monetizing version. There was no way for it to make money. It was just purely social media. People were just talking to each other, sharing, talking. But then once it went to become a publicly traded company, the company needed an income stream, a way to make money. And what they did was they adopted the television, newspaper, and radio model of selling ads. But they took it up a notch. They said instead of selling ads to big companies, what we're going to do is we're going to let anybody who wants to, anybody who creates a fan page, be able to market to the rest of Facebook for a fee, right? So that's their business model. Same thing with Instagram. You have your Instagram page, which is owned by Facebook. They let you market to the rest of Instagram and Facebook through your business. So that is what the TV and the radio stations lost as revenue, because big companies like Coca-Cola and, you know, all the companies started advertising on social media as well. They had pages, they had platforms, and it was like, hey, I don't need to have everyone watching or reading. They're already here, and the social media will scroll it through their feed for me over time. So it'll go to them instead of me waiting for them to come to me. And that's what kind of made the shift. But like you said, the popularity of those entities were so big and so long, 50, 100 years, that if you still, like you said, are in Time magazine or in a Forbes or, you know, on the news, once you put that back on your social media, it's only gonna make your social media more popping.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, we also have to consider the type of long-standing print companies that we're speaking of. So with these companies, like I always said, you know, most of their readers are page turners, you know, old and young. They got folks on Wall Street, you know, they're not when they're walking into the ground floor of their trading company, they're not reading their articles from their tablet. Most of the time they have a hard paper in their hand because it's of the culture. You know, that's what they grew up on. That's what they know. And like I said, he could be 30, 35 years old and he's still going to buy the paper, and, you know, he still goes buy magazines. Me personally, I still buy magazines. I probably have more than I should have at the house. I still buy physical books and stuff like that. I've reignited the page turner that's in me. So don't get me wrong, these companies, they're still for-profit companies. They're just not at the billions and billions in annual revenue that they were seeing. They may be trading right now at maybe about, you know, 800, 900 million per year. And once upon a time, they were 2 billion, 3 billion. And again, that was largely due to ads. But they found ways to maintain their relevancy so they could continue to give you the print that goes on the shelf. So obviously, you know, like they said, yeah, they all have online articles and stuff like that. And a lot of your bigger companies now have apps where you can go directly to the app or download the app on your phone, and you get all of the news concentrated for a fee. You do have to subscribe to them. But Time, Life, LA Times, The Post, they still have those apps because at the end of the day, they still want to put the product on the shelf and, you know, want you to go out and buy it.
I think Isaiah gives good insight though too, because like he's 17 years old, about to be 18, right? The cool thing about him saying they have online articles is he just gave me the secret sauce to being in the newspaper but still hitting his age group. Like, and I ain't gonna read the newspaper. He just saying send the newspaper to my phone, and if I see the newspaper, I'm still gonna feel the credibility of you being in the newspaper. It's just online, you know. So boom, he giving me the sweet spot, and that's why I love interacting with young people, because they keep my finger on the pulse of what is possible in all this new social media atmosphere. Well, my brother, I thank you for your time. This was awesome. This was great. If anybody has any more additional questions before we get off, just put the questions in there. You can also put questions on the reel after I post it. I'll come back and I'll answer them for real. I love helping people. I've just been grateful for everyone who came today. Mel, thank you so much for your time. You have any closing gems you want to drop?
The words of one of my mentors, be present, be relevant. And that goes to your personal life and your brand identity. Be present, be relevant.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time, my man. We got to do this again sometime. I appreciate you. If you're just hopping on right now, see the people just hopping on, I'll be putting this in my reels. Come back. I'll be sharing it with Mel too. He'll be a collaborator, so you can check it out on either one of our pages. We drop some serious gems in here, so make sure you go through, take your time, and really pull them out for yourself. All right, thank you, sir.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
Always.